All right. I am now joined by Ryan Lake and one half of Very Bad Wizards, David Pizarro. Tamler has a cheese-related emergency and will be along in a few minutes, I suppose.
Tamler, by the way, is the bottom half. I'm the...
That's right. It doesn't come off that way in public, but it's always reversed behind the doors, right?
Sure.
He's just three small children in a trench coat.
That's right. Or three small mogwai.
Three small mogwai.
There's the electricity gremlin. There's the thing gremlin.
Yeah, it's like a pre-Pokemon.
That's right.
Now I read that Mogwai is like a real thing, like a real word for like demon or something in Chinese.
Oh, okay.
But it also sounds like something somebody would say to troll non-Chinese speakers.
Yeah. That's right. If it is a real thing, I'm sure it's nothing like.
It's not a Furby.
It's not a Furby with special rules about.
There aren't ancient scrolls about feeding them after midnight and stuff like that.
I did read that that there was apparently a behind closed doors legal battle between Furby and the Gremlins people.
Really?
Because Furby looked so much like Gremlin, and apparently they settled out of court, and apparently came out with a special Gremlins version of Furby. Yeah, so
that's funny.
They reached some agreement.
There was something like that with Baby Yoda too, right? Wasn't Joe Dante saying that Baby Yoda was a ripoff of Gizmo?
I didn't know that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
The ears are very, very.
Yeah. Although I feel like Baby Yoda is just is very much like regular
around,
Yoda,
right?
which regular Yoda came first. So I feel like he's a little out of line there. But
yes, I mean, especially I felt like when Gizmo, just to skip well ahead in the plot, was all Rambo'd out later in the movie. I felt like there was a very urban Ewok feel to what was going on there. So I think Star Wars might actually have multiple grounds for complaint.
That's right.
I saw a picture the other day randomly, because this is before I even knew that we were going to be talking Gremlins too. It was a picture of of one of the gizmos used on set for production, and it was like this. It's like giant. It was, and they used it for like close-up scenes to get the detail.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah,
I know, it was very creepy looking.
Yeah, I bet. Tamler, hey.
All right. Hey, how are you? Sorry about that.
Is your dog okay?
How's your dog doing?
So far, he's eating worse, but
yeah.
That was like, I just went to the bathroom, and I had some cheese out. And like 2 cheeses, some wine. He got it one just cheese. He just ate the whole thing, and then the other one he just had half of it.
I had no idea you were a fancy cheese guy, Tamler.
We did
crap.
You don't have established before we went live that neither Ryan or I had any idea how to pronounce the second cheese you mentioned.
Yeah,
fromage dauphinois.
Yeah. Hey, I guessed right. I mean, I knew that, obviously, right? I eat that all the time.
Sorry, I'm on with just like Philistines, barbarians right now.
Yeah. If it's not American, I want nothing to do with it. Give me sliced processed cheese. Yeah.
Did you have to say fromage? I know that it's cheese. Did you have to like specify that it's cheese?
I think it's just fromage dauphinois. That's just what it's called,
like French fries.
Yeah, you don't. Well, no, yeah, you don't say French or.
You have to. I was straining that one.
So, what have you been doing while I was dealing with that?
We already went through the whole plot.
Yeah, we're
good. Yeah.
listed off all the kinds of gremlins they had in this movie.
That's right.
It was.
Did you rank your favorite gremlin?
We haven't done that yet.
I mean, I think electricity, right? I mean, that's the most interesting one.
I don't know. That wouldn't.
I don't know.
Even
You
in
guys
my
the furthest
5.
from a standard gremlin. So that's
talk about how that one works. I'm curious how it works.
Well,
the
thing I'm really
Neil
curious about
deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think, could have some interesting thoughts on
I just want to ask him, could you really trap an electricity gremlin with call holding in a telephone? Would that really work?
It was a real risk. It was a gamble what he does, because if it didn't work, now he's created like 50 times more gremlins. So
and there was literally no reason to think it would work, which is amazing.
It's like the usual movie thing where somebody says, I have an idea, this is crazy, but the other people just go along with it without asking any details about how it's going to work. It's like, all right, well,
everyone else was also high at the moment they were asked whether or not to agree.
It was that or nothing. That's the problem.
I
guess just let that, like the 150 gremlins that were there, go out in New York and terrorize everybody. But
I should say that that David mentioned everybody being high, and one of the super subtle things in this movie is that he tells Clamp that they should try this at 420.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That was great.
I don't know if I've ever seen this movie not being stoned to some degree, like sometimes more than others.
I want to try it soon. So I've seen this movie twice in my life. I watched it as a child or like a young teen. I don't remember how old I was when it came out, but like 12, 13, something. And so like when we were talking about this backstage, like when you suggested this, I thought you were joking because my memory, it was just this absurd movie with ridiculous gremlins. I just watched it again yesterday. I was like, oh, this is actually a funny, interesting movie. Like there's a lot going on.
I had to double check with Tamler to make sure he wasn't joking.
I don't remember that I was the one that suggested it.
You're the one who said it was better than Everything Everywhere All at Once. I assumed that was a joke, and I still don't agree, but it's a more serious claim than.
They're not even in the same league.
I feel like you're coming full hipster tonight. Like you are just like hipstering it out of the park.
This isn't a
homage. Gremlins and Gremlins 2. It's the height of cinema. It's like Truffaut and Dante.
It's like practically a cliche to love Gremlins 2 and to think that it's like way better than like. So I'm not trying to like impress anybody. I think this is maybe the funniest movie. Like in terms of like the times that I've watched it, I have never laughed as much or like harder than I laugh at this movie.
I know the movie was good, but you're also the control condition is you watching it without being high, which you admitted.
Why does that have to be the control condition?
Or else you watch everything else high. One or the other.
Only to be able to recommend it to people who aren't high.
I did watch it sober yesterday and I laughed a lot, and I want to watch it again because there are a lot of just little things like the building is one of the best characters in the movie. Like everything the building says is hilarious. Like it's just saying stuff in the background. It's great.
The fire. What does it say when there's a fire alarm?
It's like engage in the timeless act of self-civilization or self-preservation.
Brings warmth. I was really very worried about their relationship. I didn't want them to split up.
Yeah,
Phoebe Cates and
it was like a Three's Company level misunderstanding, and I was like, just say you didn't want to go on to dinner with that other woman.
Yeah.
I like that they didn't dwell on that. Like they didn't make it like they did it almost obligatory. Like, and then they were like, okay, they're fine.
Yeah, yeah. The two women have a little confrontation, then like everything's good.
Yeah.
In a spider web.
I didn't even get to first base.
Yeah.
She's really good. That actress that plays, what is it, Marla? I really like her.
With her,
she's fantastic.
Super New Yorkie accent.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just cartoonish New York accent.
Yeah. I feel like that's what when you're playing TV, like when you're 11, that you got to do that. I mean, should Tamler give us a bit of a background on this? Tamler, did you come with your notes on the?
I mean, not like we do when we were doing a movie, for sure. I have thoughts about, but I honestly think, and I get that there's a clear anti-capitalism and like corporate satire, and all of that is there, and it's good. But I love this movie because of how funny it is.
Yeah, I think both things are interesting. And the thing that I was thinking about, because on past episodes we've talked about like RoboCop and some of these other movies that came around, Starship Troopers, which were also movies that I saw when I was young and just took them at face value. And then when you watch them again later, you're like, oh, there's much more going on here. And like, this is like a whole trend in cinema, like in the late 80s, early 90s, where there are all these movies just like making fun of what they are. Like it's kind of
Starship Troopers is a very good example of that. No,
I feel like that had a more controlled, like I don't know, the comment it was making was more controlled. This is just pure chaos in terms of like the satire isn't as direct as it. I mean, I love Starship Troopers, and RoboCop is one of my like 20 favorite movies of all time. But like, I feel like the thing that where this departs from that is just, you get to like 25 minutes in, and then it's just pure anarchy for the rest of the movie.
Or really like maybe halfway through, like I think it gets really like, I think the moment where they're we should actually say something about the plot in a minute, but like there's like a moment just about exactly halfway through when they start talking about Gremlins 1 in the movie, where I think they sort of is kind of the moment where you let go of the idea that this is going to make sense in a normal way, and they just go nuts with it for pretty continuously for the rest of the movie. So the setup here is so Gremlins 1 is a pretty conventional sort of low-key, I don't know, fun light horror movie, and in Gremlins 1 you establish, I'm trying to think, it's been like it's actually been like a good 17 years or something since I've watched the first Gremlins, but you establish there's this very cute creature, Zamagwai, who's sold from a mysterious old Chinese shop. If you've never seen the movie, you've at least seen The Simpsons, where they do the guy who's the version where the old Chinese guy is selling Frogurt or whatever he calls it.
That's right.
But there are these rules that are attached to it. So does somebody want to do just run through the rules real quick?
Oh well, don't feed them after midnight. Don't get them wet, and keep them out of sunlight especially.
Yeah, and that third one isn't so much a rule as like in case you need to kill them.
Right? Yeah.
That's more, in case of emergency.
Yeah, it's more like just a law of nature.
Or maybe including that as a rule is just like a nice, gentle way of saying, hey, just in case you need to kill them, here's
right. Right. So, Tamler, I was telling them that I remember the rules just from the marketing campaign of the original Gremlins, because like I was at that age where boring backstory, but I wasn't actually allowed to go to the movie theater when I was a kid. And so, we would get, and we couldn't afford HBO or anything. So I just had to hear it from everybody else and see the ads on TV. and those rules were just ingrained in me. And I don't think even watched the whole first Gremlins movie, and so the rules were completely out of context to me, and it wasn't until today watching this movie that I was like, oh, because they reproduce that way. I never had made the connection between like the cute ones and the ugly ones. Like, it was just completely.
Yeah. So if you get the cute one wet or feed it after midnight, then there's like horrible monsters pop off
out of the boils. Like
so
out of the boils.
Food turns them bad and naughty. And then
well, they seem to be naughty. The other ones are all naughty before they eat the food, but
that's true.
Like Gizmo, but I guess they get more evil, or they just get bigger and uglier.
He's just like
I think one of the great what
is Gizmo just like the enlightened one? Like he's just never bad. Like
like in the original movie, Gizmo refuses to eat after midnight. Like he has a chance to do it. He's like, no, none of that. But all the other cute ones are like tricking Billy into feeding them in the first one so that they get fed after midnight. Yeah.
I read that Joe Dante for the first one, which I'm not even sure I've ever seen, but like I read.
Oh, it's great. It's worth watching.
It is. I've heard it is. Yeah. And I don't know why I haven't seen it. And maybe I have, like when I was a kid, but he didn't like he didn't like Gizmo. And wanted to turn Gizmo bad like early on, and like Spielberg came in and didn't let him, and that's why in Gremlins 2, Gizmo is pretty much just tortured for the whole movie. Like not like that was his revenge on Gizmo.
Yeah,
and he's like, and he's broken. Like the Rambo thing is actually like a very depressing thing.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah.
Pathetic. Yeah.
He's got like the guns and Rambo's voice going off in his head as he's getting ready, like he's a Vietnam vet with PTSD, just like getting ready. Like
well, one thing we established very early in this movie, and it's been a long time since I watched Gremlins 1. In fact, I can date pretty much exactly when the last time I watched it was, because I think I actually watched it with Ryan, maybe. I'm not 100% on that, but I think I watched it after one of the days of my qualifying exams in our PhD program. That was the...
that sounds plausible.
I think that was the afternoon activity after the exams. But, from early in this movie, the first time you see Gizmo, he's been returned to the mysterious Oriental shop. And we established very early in the movie that he likes television, that he's always trying to like watch, he's trying to watch TV, and the old Chinese man's like, no, not, no more, what are you trying to watch TV again? You can't do that.
Television is for fools. Yeah.
And then like a little later in the movie, you see him like rocking out to some music. So Gizmo's very into American popular culture. So maybe it makes sense that when he's tortured, that the association that pops into his mind is that now he'll be like Rambo.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
He has a little bit of a mischievous side, but
he does.
Yeah.
He keeps
it. It all would have been fine. If he had just stayed in the drawer, it all would have been fine. Yeah. Everything would have been fine. But he had to get out of the drawer.
Yeah, he had to fashion himself a rope out of paper clips.
That's right.
Rappel himself down.
What I love about the rules is one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when he's coming back to the building and all those people are making fun of the rules. Like, what happens if you're going over the time zone and what happens?
Seeds stuck in your teeth.
Which is so frustrating from his perspective, because he's actually like, this is an emergency and he needs their help, and instead they're just.
But they're all good questions.
They're all very good.
And then like they're doing and they're loving it, it's hilarious, and then all of a sudden like a mean gremlin just bursts out of the control panel.
It's like a face. It's like a face sucking gremlin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
So can we talk a little bit about Joe Dante's? You alluded to this because I think that this movie doesn't make sense unless you put it in that context that they wanted him to make a sequel and he was like, no. Because this is a rare one. Like it was 84, right? 84 to 90. So, and 84 was like, as Amblin entertainment as you can get. Like it was very much that kind of blockbuster. And you guys were saying it's a success, but I don't know if it was it wasn't a box office success, but it's certainly
not Gremlins 2, but Gremlins 1 was a phenomenon.
Huge, right?
Yeah.
But Gremlins 2, he either wasn't going to do it or he was going to make the movie that he wanted to. And you could just tell, like with the rules thing, he's just unleashing his frustration. Like by putting in scenes like that, because he's had 6 years of people being like, what if they have some food in their mouth?
In the studio. Exactly.
No, I mean, a lot of the movie seems to be just trashing the fans of the first one. Like that seems to like one of the major aims of the movie.
But at the same time, like it does kind of celebrate the potential of the Gremlins, you know, like what like you could do if you didn't have Steven Spielberg like telling you no, he has to be nice and like good and stuff like that. It's like here's like what you can really do with these creatures, which is amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to get in the way of your recap.
Oh well, we should do a little bit of recapping maybe just to start us off, right? So Gizmo is back at the shop. Meanwhile, the characters from the first movie, the boy and the girl, now both work at Trump Tower essentially, and which write down the very similar the four letter very similar sounding last name, and the fact that at the Clamp building, Mr. Clamp's book is being sold. Which, if you remember, the cover of the Art of the Deal had this little graphic.
That's great.
Unsettlingly similar.
That's great.
But he's much like nice. Like he's like a dumb but nice version of.
He's very earnest and kind of likable, like a little kid.
I think he's also supposed to have some Ted Turner, because the little thing that he does at the end is based on something Ted Turner was going to do on TNT. If the world ended, he was going to like have
the world ending message was so good.
Oh my God,
the video.
But also the very clear Ted Turner is the colorizing of old movies, right? So when he says
yes, Casablanca now in color with
yeah,
I love that.
No, that's true. Also, the Clamp cable network is obviously CNN.
That is from the first time I watched this movie when I was 15. That's the line I always remembered, was the Casablanca.
The Casablanca.
With a happy ending.
So they're both working there in frustrating ways. And he in particular is frustrated at his job. There's some sort of vaguely office spacey petty corporate tyranny going on that that he can't have personal touches at his desk. And then they want to get married, but they can't yet. That's the setup. Meanwhile, after the old Chinese man dies, he'd been the last holdout for the construction of this Trump Tower style building that's but like this much more futuristic one. And then Gizmo is out on the street, and he is picked up by somebody who works at the genetic engineering lab that is in this building for some reason.
One of those
they're leasing an office.
One of the twins.
One of the creepy twins that's been in like a bunch of other movies. He was in Terminator 2, I remember.
I was gonna say those are they were Terminator 2. They used both of them when the Terminator clones the guard in the hospital. Yeah, that's right.
Are we to believe that they're clones?
Yeah,
it makes sense
because he asked them about the clone program. How's the clone
that's when
program
you see
going?
the two of them next to each other.
Yeah.
So Gizmo was brought back. So conveniently, our hero is down there, Billy, to see him, rescue him from the lab, where horrible things were happening to him. The guy who's running the lab, who I would also point out, just skip ahead a little bit, is the only human being who's actually killed by a gremlin in this entire movie, as far as I can tell. Mostly they're just sort of naughty and chaotic, but they don't actually kill anybody. He's this kind of like cheesy, old style, like horror movie scientist, vaguely evil guy. He's very fixated on diseases.
Christopher Lee, right?
Christopher Lee, which is I mean the cast is pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was the other thing that, since I hadn't seen it as a kid, I didn't remember who was in this movie. It was like Christopher, like what? Like, also, just another small thing I noticed, but the messenger who whistles the tune so that Billy discovers he's in there, that's the actor who plays Tuco in Breaking Bad.
Oh shit!
Really?
Yeah.
Good catch.
Like I was like, that guy looks familiar, so I had to look him up. I was like, oh, that's Tuco. That's it.
Good catch. And Robert Picardo is great too.
He is.
Doctor
he is the doctor from
that's
fantastic.
Fellow nerds. 90s.
That's right. Yeah.
So so Billy puts Gizmo in a drawer, from which, as we mentioned, I guess it's the degrees of evil you go up, the sort of naughtiness and chaos increases. So Gizmo's
a slippery slope.
That's right. So Gizmo is like just a little bit naughty and chaotic, but in a very tame way. But enough so that he won't stay in the drawer. He gets out of the drawer. So he's there for the guy, the repairman is fixing the water fountain to splash water all over him. So
that guy, by the way, I looked up Gomez from the Adam family.
That's right. Yep. That's totally Gomez. It's OG Gomez Adams. Yeah.
Who is the father, by the way, of Rudy, of Sean Astin, of which I have no idea.
I did not know that.
I have no idea. Patty Duke and Gomez got married and had Samwise Gamgee. That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is this some nerd shit? I don't understand any. I don't know any of these people.
The Addams Family,
I mean, kind of.
Okay, it was a show.
You're aware of it. That old. Yeah.
Nick at Night.
So
and then
that's how we do this stuff growing up. Yeah, you watch Nick at Night.
And then Patty Duke, who had her old show. And then Sean Astin, Rudy, because you're a sports guy.
I actually don't. I don't think I've ever seen. But anyway,
or Lord of the Rings. He was.
I know Sean Astin. Yeah.
Yeah. He was.
He's one of the gay ones in Lord of the Rings.
Maybe of them all, the least gay one, actually.
No, I think he was. No. I mean, the standard view is that he and Frodo had a thing. I mean, for sure.
None of them knew what was going on.
Your gaydar is on the fritz right now.
I don't know how homoeroticism works on Middle Earth, but Christopher Lee also dashing in that.
True.
Apparently, the cast, though, had, even back then, Christopher Lee was understood to be like this guy, that it was amazing that he was there. So the cast had this like a ton of respect for Christopher Lee's presence.
How'd they get him to do this?
I don't know, but he's camping it up really well.
Totally. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. So he has his girlfriend, whose name I'm blanking on, but he has her.
Kate, I think.
Phoebe Cates, the actress. Yeah.
But Phoebe Cates, that's a very important person for somebody my age. Definitely one of the three first people that we saw them topless.
Yes, that's
Fast
right.
Times
that's
at
right.
Ridgemont High.
Yeah, that's right.
Is a really important movie for people, probably right around my age.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So she
goes good to see her. Always good to see her.
People about age 60? Around there.
Yeah. Well, she's 59. I just looked her up. Yeah.
Oh, did she? Oh my god. How's that?
No.
Oh my god.
82 is Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
There is a 11 or 12-year-old Tamler Sommers that learned a lot
before Mr. Skin. You had to find the old-fashioned way. Like,
no, she's great.
Wait, what's the old-fashioned way?
You go to your local video shop and actually rent the movies and happen upon topless scenes.
Was there even VCRs then in '82?
There were, but it wasn't like a huge. It wasn't a huge thing. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Ben.
sorry, Ben. We keep derailing.
No, that's good. Yeah, no, this is good. This is actually a very rare instance of me being on a podcast and feeling very young.
Yeah.
It's usually the opposite issue, but my earliest memories of watching movies, I think they were VCRs. So, in any case, she goes up to get him. She's not happy about it. We should also say that the reason that Billy sent her to do this is that his boss got him to go out to dinner with her because she's suddenly very interested in him because Mr. Clamp came to wander around the office and shake a few hands, and he seemed to be very taken with Billy, which so that makes Billy a much hotter commodity. So she's willing, she wants to take him out to dinner. Which we were talking about this a little bit earlier. I think before we started, we went live. There is a little bit of sort of kind of tediously manufactured drama there. Like you could have just said, "I have to go out to dinner with my boss." And,
she's sexually harassing me.
Yeah,
I might get fired if I don't, but I love you.
Right, and it's the '80s, so I can't do anything about it. Right. I love that the chic restaurant they go to is this Canadian restaurant where they.
I love that. That's the best.
That's hilarious.
It's great. Yes, the chocolate mousse. That's actually a giant moose head.
Yeah. They're going to cut off a horn of the chocolate mousse for you for dessert.
Or
you could have another Molson.
And she pitches it as that they clean the fish right at
I love that. It never occurred to me before how ludicrous it would be to have just a Canadian restaurant. That would be a cuisine. Just never occurred to me before this movie. But of course, it was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, just poutine and Molson. Like, what else are you gonna?
Well, I do remember from 5 years later the movie Canadian Bacon, a non-documentary Michael Moore movie, if anybody remembers this thing, about the United States invading Canada. And there's a whole sequence in there where they're doing the anti-Canadian propaganda commercials on TV. So there's one with a list of Canadian actors and athletes that says, Canadian immigrants seeping down our border like maple syrup. And there's also a line in the propaganda commercials where somebody says, it's no Canadian culture. When's the last time you said, "Hey, honey, let's stay in tonight and order Canadian"?
Yeah, exactly.
Yet they're the actors.
Apologies to Canadian viewers.
But the amount of Canadian actors and actresses is really appalling. They're taking our jobs.
Yeah, they're taking over our culture.
Christopher Lee is, he must have approved those jokes.
It's like all the Judd Apatow, like 80% of them are Canadian. Those should be American jobs.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So she goes. Kate goes to pick up Gizmo, but she doesn't really remember what Gizmo looks like closely enough. So she picks up one of the evil ones.
This is very funny. When she goes home, I mean, and he's got the little airplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very early gen, not very evil gremlin, but he's like pretty naughty and chaotic.
Right.
And he makes a huge mess, and and torments her.
Just throws the blender on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you have to go through like a bunch of cycles before you get one that's evil enough to actually kill someone.
I don't know.
Or become an Australian professor.
My favorite thing about this gremlin is when they go back in the bag. They take him in a bag. I always thought it was a woman. I don't know. That probably said something about me, but I guess it's a male gremlin. They put him in the bag and they take him. And then this is a running thing in the movie where people don't take it seriously. Like, you can't look at the bag. I wouldn't do that. And then he opens the bag and it just attacks his face.
Yeah.
With that crazy Google eyes. I just love it. I love it. I don't know. Good shit.
No, that's always one of the great things is people are still calling Billy crazy. Like, we need to lock you up. Like, after they've seen the monsters, we need to lock you up. You're nuts.
Right.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, we should also say there's this
existence not documented from the whole.
You would think the whole
Gremlins one.
Well, there's a whole metaphysical thing, because this movie takes place in the universe that Gremlins was a movie, clearly, right? Like, as Leonard Maltin is reviewing it on video, and it also takes place in a movie that in a universe where Gremlins 2 is a movie.
Yeah.
So
Hulk Hogan.
That, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if you're really insist on taking everything in this movie literally and piecing it together into an internally consistent picture, then I guess the world of the movie is actually the one where Gremlins 2 is a movie. None of this stuff is happening, but there are also Gremlins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
There's no rules to this shit. Let's not pretend.
No, definitely not. Other movie I kept thinking about was Return of the Killer Tomatoes from 1988. So 2 years earlier than this. That's like doing
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Well, Attack was the original one, but then Return.
I don't think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a movie called Attack the Killer Tomatoes, which was just this kind of like a different kind of satire than Return. Like, Attack was just sort of like people making a deliberately shitty movie just because like they thought that was funny. But then like that Return, there's actually a lot of meta stuff going on in it. That's it's a very different kind of movie from Gremlins 2. But I think that it, in some ways, like for example, it actually being a movie within the world of the movie, sort of, if you take certain things seriously, are similar. But in this one, it's a little bit unclear because you also have Murray, there's this old couple that's coming to visit, who like come just as they're dealing with the mildly evil gremlin at the beginning, and it comes out later in the movie that Murray thought he was crazy since the events of Gremlins 1, because he'd seen Gremlins, and so he thought that he just had a psychotic break.
Yeah, and also his wife
has like hugely nervous energy, just looks just like her face is just like that all the time.
She has an old timey flash camera where she's just like
And what's also funny is these are characters that very clearly, I know at least he very clearly dies in the first movie, and then like in this one, like, oh, he almost died, but like he very clearly gets killed in the first movie.
Right, because that was the first PG-13 movie, right? Like they did PG-13 for Gremlins. Is that right? Or
is that right? I don't know.
It was Gremlins and one other one.
Was it Indiana Jones?
Indiana Jones, yeah. They were both
one of
they were both
Spielberg or something.
Yeah.
All right. So they go back to the office, to the clamp center, and
the visual gag of the clamp on the earth is really good. Yeah. Like it's squeezing the earth.
Yeah,
like,
very,
you can't
just nothing subtle here.
Yeah, you can't get more on the nose. Capitalism.
Yeah.
It's a very Ben Burgis imagery.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might need some new cover art for the podcast.
Yeah, I feel like it could inspire you.
Yeah.
But he's not but like Tamler was saying, he's not a terribly evil capitalist. Like he's almost seems like not cutthroat enough to have been the one who made his own wealth, but like I know we're supposed to think that he's the mogul of this empire, but he sort of just doesn't realize what's going on. He
seems very childlike. Like when you see him in his office, like he's just kind of, he's like looking out the window. He's like just bored and
he's bored. He wants to shred memos.
Yeah.
But by the way, I don't know if this is the time to say this, but like I was very hurt that you had David on to talk about socialism, like why socialism, like I get it. Maybe you thought because of the analytic philosophy aspect of it that he would be better, but like I'm the communist of the podcast. Dave is like a reactionary libertarian, and I'm like the communist wannabe. So like he was doing
a good job of hiding his power levels in that episode.
Yeah. I feel like Ben has been a sort of role model. Since we're saying things that it's not time to say, Ben, you have the patience of Jesus Christ when I see you debating some of these people. Yeah, I really admire what you do, man. I just got to say it. Like you really do an amazing job. Like it is.
Appreciate that. I do not remember how it is that we had David on originally. I think there was some kind of Twitter interaction that he was involved with, and
I probably replied. I probably responded.
That's the most like probably hurtful thing I could hear is that you don't even remember. I'm like the debris of your life. Just like what like my feelings, who gives a shit, like I can't even remember.
Oh yeah, no, it didn't matter to me. So
No, I tried. I was like, Ben, we should really get Tamler. He's like, nah, fuck that guy.
No, exactly.
He's not an Ivy League university.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Only Cornell. No, University of Houston. Yeah, none of that.
No public like Hispanic serving institution.
No.
Fair enough.
That should be a different episode, but that would be a fun one.
Scooby-Doo. You could talk about the new Scooby-Doo movie.
Oh yeah, there we go. I mean, I'm not going to watch it, but we could do a the Zizek review of the new Matrix movie. Have you seen this? It was in that like LA philosophical salon thing. Anyway, it was like the best part is like the last 3 sentences of the review where he says, "You may notice that I've leaned very heavily on quotations from other reviews of the movie in this. That's because it seemed like it was really bad and you shouldn't see bad movies, so I didn't watch it."
Jesus. Oh,
nice.
Wow.
But yeah, so
so Hulk Hogan. No.
We haven't gotten the Hulkster, although that is one of the most amazing things about this. And see above not usually feeling very young in these discussions. I do definitely remember watching Hulk Hogan on wasn't WWE then, it was WWF at that point. They hadn't been, the World Wrestling Federation had not been sued by the World Wildlife Federation into changing their acronym.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know that was why.
Yep, that is why. So that's why it's Worldwide Wrestling Entertainment or something now. But yeah, so that was definitely one of the stranger things about the movie. But before we get there, we have to get to sort of descent into chaos in the next, I don't know, 20 minutes or so of the movie after where we are. So, and I should say also that when Billy gets home, he's got like a, lipstick on his cheek, and it really seems like this is going to be a big issue, that she's going to be mad about this. And I have to say, it feels like they just sort of forgot about it and then like remembered again for like 30 seconds later in the movie. And they're like, oh, I don't know. We'll do something to resolve that. We're not going back. And
I'm so embarrassed for him.
Wait, are you talking about the mimes?
No, when he has the lipstick.
Oh, yeah.
The mimes were great too.
The mimes were great. So they go back to the Clamp building, and they have and they're trying desperately to convince people that this is a real thing, and just earnestly talking about the rules. That like how all of this works, at which point you get a bunch of really good but badly timed follow-up questions, like we were talking about earlier. And
but they're not serious questions. They're making fun of him. That's what's so funny about it, is like, wait, what if you fly over a time zone? And it's
okay, but that's a good question.
But like, they are good questions given the rules. Yeah.
Right. No. Right.
Yeah, but they're making fun of it the way someone would make fun of a bad horror movie. Like, okay, what are these dumb rules? Like, come on. Yeah.
And it's so funny even before like the payoff, but then when the payoff comes, it's just like
the payoff is so good.
I was losing it when I watched it. Like, quiet. That's my dog that ate the cheese. So. No.
You all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So, yeah, and then the gremlins, the bad gremlins break through. I should also say that at some point in here, I'm a little fuzzy about the order thinking back to it, but the bad gremlins get into the genetic engineering lab, which is the paper thin excuse for why you have like all of these like crazy gremlins that that they can just go around the lab injecting themselves with things. And
can I say something? If we're like about like the mimes, there's two things that like I think capture just the energy of this movie. The mimes, like they pull up to the building and just like a van full of mimes get out, like just come out of this van and they go into the building, and you think those are like Chekhov's mimes or whatever, like, oh, that's gonna come back somehow. You just never see them again. And similarly with the little like elves, like the little Robin Hood elves that come out of like the studio when things are starting to go fritzy, like again, like no explanation for it and no like reappearance of it. It's just like, I love that. This is what I love about the movie.
Not even close.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's just pure nonsense. Yeah, especially like that from that halfway point on, it's just pure nonsense.
It's like
you can drink brain juice and get up wearing glasses. Like, that's
so that's the best example. Like all of the gremlin transformations, the genetic engineering labs. You have you have the sexy lady gremlin. You have you have the electricity gremlin, who's just like a pattern of electricity. I don't at that. It's really unclear how that works. And then you have the bat gremlin, and then you have the brain gremlin that you drink some sort of brain thing. I kept thinking about the stuff that Alex Jones sells on his show.
That's right. That's probably where he got the idea for it.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? Okay, so we glossed over what obviously would be my favorite part so far of the film. This is the opening Warner Brothers, Bugs Bunny, Daffy.
Oh yeah.
The lady gremlin isn't a lady, right? That's just like a take on Bugs Bunny, because we see him dress up.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
who knows what the gender of these
Substack.
things is?
Yeah.
He's going for a Substack.
Let's not.
A lady gremlin isn't a lady. Wow.
This is your first Substack article. It's gold. You're going to make a fortune. This is not a woman. This is biologically male. You're going to make a fortune, Dave.
I think that he still identifies as male. I mean, obviously, Robert Picardo is not asking questions.
Yeah.
You know, whatever he likes. But it's a Bugs Bunny
No, this is actually fantastic because I don't know if this would even be like worse than like adults spending time arguing about like Velma being gay or not.
Let's argue about the gender of the lady gremlin.
The gremlins who appear to have no genitalia and reproduce entirely asexually.
Well, I didn't look, but there is that flasher gremlin. But like, is there? Do you see gremlin genitalia?
I don't believe there was any genitalia with the flasher gremlin either. No. I don't think they have. I mean, they have the gender they choose. You know,
they reproduce asexually.
They
the
reproduce
laws of
the
nature.
water. They don't need.
Okay, so this is good. So if gremlins have gender, it's a question of identity and
exactly
non-binary.
That's right.
So we should respect the gender identity of the lady gremlin, Dave.
Jesus, all right.
Unbelievable. It's gonna be like the whatever Fry Guys or Fry Guys. You have to leave the podcast now because.
You guys are just pushing me to the right with your mockery.
That's right.
But yes, the best is the brain gremlin who he drinks the the brain thing, and and then the effect of that is to make him capable of speech. And
speaking of vaguely British, was it British or Australian?
I feel like it was. I feel like it was an attempt at an Australian accent.
Yeah,
but it was like a weird amalgam of like all of them. Like it wasn't, I think, a specific accent. It's Tony Randall.
It's Tony Randall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he could do an accent, but I think
it's sometimes British, sometimes Australian.
Very strange.
Tony Randall
speaks in this British Australian something accent. He has glasses.
Instantly with glasses.
Instantly develops glasses.
It's part of the potion that he drank. Formed glasses.
That would be so. I don't think, sadly, I don't think the years work out, but I really like the idea that that Joe Dante watched some like early like Alex Jones public access thing in Austin where he's already selling like brain tonics. This inspired it. But yeah, in this so that's where you get the brain gremlin is very important because he can explain he can speak for the gremlins for the rest of the movie. He also leads them in singing "New York, New York" at the end of the movie,
and that incredibly well choreographed musical number. I mean, they've got the printed out decorations to hold up and move in perfect synchronization.
Well, the Busby Berkeley thing of them popping out of
yeah.
They all know the lyrics.
Yeah.
Matt Walsh Gremlins too. Exactly, Jay. I feel like I know what Matt Walsh must feel like after all that that number, that musical number is very Muppet-esque.
Yes, it is. It is. Yes.
I really do miss the days of animatronic and puppet. And
it's so good in this movie.
Yeah. And I even miss that choppy stop motion, like Godzilla movie animation, like with the bat gremlin flying.
Yeah, that was really cool. The bat gremlin flying. I swear to God, I think like the Dark Knight like has a scene that like kind of models itself after that. You know, when he's in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them, like the wood chipper in Fargo. I was like, wait, is this making fun of Fargo? But no, this is way before Fargo. You know, when he puts the gremlin into the paper
which is the first time that that anything dies in this movie is when Clamp feeds one of the gremlins into the paper shredder.
I was a little shocked.
Yeah, it is. It's gruesome.
And he's like currently undergoing slight PTSD as he he's like dissociating. You know, when they walk in, he's like, I've never used
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I just, for some reason, I just kept thinking about that, how like, Gizmo was like tortured a lot, but like they never seemed to make any attempt to kill Gizmo. And then they never kill. I mean, there's like a implication that there's one point where they were, at least going to like torture in ways that would have like led to severe damage, Billy, and maybe kill him at one point. But there's this one person who they actually kill. Otherwise, they just sort of generally make whatever situation around them is more chaotic.
Yeah, I love that. Like this is one of the funny things about this movie is they are just like agents of chaos. They don't seem to be malevolent. They clearly want to go out of New York and like fuck around, but there's nothing like deeply evil or malevolent about them. They just want to fuck shit up. You know, like, it's a very funny idea for a creature in a movie.
Yeah, and they're much less malevolent than in the original. They do kill a bunch of people. Like they're much more evil in the first one. This one, I hadn't thought about that, but they aren't killing anybody. They're just fucking around.
They kill one person who's the Christopher Lee. That's the
who has it coming. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. We established super early in the movie he was going to kill Gizmo. Presumably he's been killing various creatures left and right, like
giving them diseases.
Yes,
like almost getting aroused by the diseases.
I can get you diseases.
That's his first attempt to bargain with the brain gremlin. It's like I can get you some diseases.
Everybody likes malaria as much as I do, right? Some of that.
Is that shit? I'm blanking on her name. Julia Sweeney, who's the receptionist.
It looks like her. Yes,
like
I think it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
because it's 1990, so she's she's not quite SNL maybe yet, but she's getting.
I think it is her. I was trying to place her, but she looked.
I think she is at SNL. I think it is. That point.
She might have been SNL. Yeah. Playing Pat, another hot button.
That's right.
Very ahead of its time.
Another character that would infuriate Matt Walsh.
Right.
One of the things I like in just the middle like craziness of it is Mr. Fetterman, who is like, he still thinks he's crazy. And then the bat gremlin gets out of the lab because he's been injected with I can't be hurt by the sun and just attacks Mr. Fetterman.
Yeah,
and that scene
he's been injected with the thing that is lying around every genetics engineering laboratory that makes supernatural creatures who have a probably allergy with the sun totally fine being in the sun.
Right. And which, for some reason, the brainy gremlin only uses on the bat. Doesn't give it to anyone else,
including himself. He
just himself and walk outside, but no.
I feel like he would analyze it and say, we need to be in a state of vulnerability. It's part of gremlin culture,
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, he attacks for whatever reason Fetterman, and that's his name, Fetterman.
I just looked it up because I was like, is that really his name, Fetterman? And it is. It looks like Futterman. I don't know, but
Futterman.
Which is funny because when we were describing the genetic engineering laboratory earlier, it was too hacky, so I didn't say it. But what popped into my head was like, oh, this is the lab where Dr. Oz was running that killed all the puppies. This is the one.
Right. The puppy torturing mill.
Right.
So he attacks him and they have this fight, and now like he's kind of vindicated because for the first time, like, oh, they're definitely really gremlins, but all these other people on the street are kind of walking by but not really helping. And then he gets it in the cement mixer, and like so that it's going to dry out and kill it, but it has a kind of dignified death. It like flies up to the cathedral and just puts there, and it's kind of beautiful just how dignified the death is.
It seems like somehow because the Gremlins are very like, I don't know, we know how pop culture conscious they are, musicals, all that, like it knows that it's about to die. It's like, what would be the coolest thing I could do? I could become the gargoyle on the cathedral.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
If I've got to die, it's the perfect way to go out. Like
it is a
great death.
A very strong nativist stance that he's taking. Gremlins are born with knowledge of New York, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's just
that's right.
Carried on. Like it's not even clear that Gizmo knows any of this information.
Well, actually, like the gene.
Maybe he does. Maybe he. Yeah, maybe he saw. Maybe Gizmo saw it on TV, and then information's passed down to the progeny
like in a Lamarckian sort of.
Yeah.
Way.
That's right.
Gremlins
have got to be Lamarckian, right? That makes
sense. Many years ago, me and our friend Mark used to joke about how Ryan needs to put out a coffee table book that'd be called Ryan Lake's Big Book of Ad Hocery, with like all of the bizarre ad hoc explanations of things he just come up with on the fly, because this is really a talent that he has.
Yeah,
I mean, or the big book of evolutionary psychology.
There you go. Yeah. Which is the same thing, right?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Big book, So, and then we should say, because we mentioned Christopher Lee dying, should say that kind of alluded to this, but before he dies, there's he's talking to Billy, and they're doing this scene that's like a very like old black and white horror movie kind of scene, where he's like, "Oh, you must think I'm crazy," right? Like, you think that I'm mad. There aren't any of these creatures. At which point, the film that we're watching starts to break up, and you see that like gremlins are fucking with it, and then you go to the movie theater where everybody's complaining about what a horrible movie Gremlins 2 is, and then
they put on a volleyball porn.
Yes.
That's so funny, that choice of the movie they put on instead.
Yeah.
It's like some old time like this is what porn used to be, kind of in like the 50s.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like a bunch of girls in bathing costumes playing volleyball.
Which may actually be inspired by Return of the Killer Tomatoes, because at the in the framing device at the beginning and end of Return of the Killer Tomatoes, there's a show called $1 Movie, where the movie that the guy puts on because he says he doesn't want to watch Return of the Killer Tomatoes is a movie whose name in the movie is Big Chested Girls Go to the Beach and Take Their Tops Off. 1988. So that could be the inspiration for this.
Now, I will say those were girls.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Wow. Just kidding.
Can I put out a call for a new co-host?
Ryan, do you want to be a very bad wizard?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
And hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in for anything meta. Like I love that he got away with this. I don't know. I love the Leonard Maltin getting attacked and
for the review.
Being like 10. No, it was a 10. Because he gave it a bad review. Like that's just. It seems like they had fun,
And just the idea of the Hulk, like the guy that kind of.
Yeah, so this is after the people in the lobby are complaining about the movie and everything, and there's this kind of officious gay like movie theater manager who is like, "Oh, fine, I'll handle this," and he goes into the theater, sees Hulk Hogan sitting in the theater. "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Hulkster, can you handle this for me? There are gremlins." Hulk knows what gremlins are. There's no gap there, right? He doesn't have to wait to have explained to him. He's, oh no problem, I'll handle this. And he just starts screaming at the gremlins and threatening them. And because Hulk is such a badass, the gremlins just concede and allow.
That was the pop culture badass in 1990, Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
You think the Gremsters can stand up to this?
Gremsters can stand up to the Hulkster. That's right.
Yeah, it's so funny.
USA.
And I like that they're like, oh shit, I guess we pushed it a little too far. We gotta just put the movie back.
The Hulk's not going to take a role that doesn't make him the hero.
Which is great because like there's literally a scene where one of the where the brain gremlin just randomly shoots another gremlin just because like he thinks it's funny or it makes a point, and like none of the other gremlins like blink at that. That's fine. Right, but the threat of being beaten up by Hulk Hogan, that's different.
Yeah, I was surprised, having never seen this movie, at either how dark some of it got or how I weirdly and perhaps inappropriately reacted to those scenes. Because I was like, whoa, like when he buries him in cement, I'm like, oh, that's pretty fucked up. When he shoots him, yes.
Well, that we should set that scene up though, right? Because that's the scene of he's being interviewed by the vampire guy.
Yeah.
Who's
a lot like Uncle, like Grandpa from
Grandpa Fester.
And he's like asks the question, which is a really good question about the movie, like. He says, creature, what do you want? You know, like what do they want exactly is a great question. And this is
his answer is
the classic. Great.
Yeah.
Like civilization, you know, Geneva Convention, chamber music, Susan Sontag, your society has worked so hard to accomplish. I like that we've accomplished Susan Sontag.
Yeah.
A collective accomplishment that we can all we can all take credit for. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I guess the implication is that you have to go through some violence and chaos before you can generate Susan Sontag and chamber music. So you know, he's like, look, we're not there yet. That wasn't very civilized when I just shot that.
That's why I was jarred by it, because I was like, no, here's the guy who's the voice of like improving the Gremlins, and he is nothing but his impulses as well.
He's the post hoc rationalizer of the horrible things that they do. Yeah. But he's also like, that's I think this is a pointed satire thing, right? Like if we're gonna become civilized, we're gonna have to kill a lot of people. Yeah.
Let loose some diseases, some genetic manipulation.
Yeah. He also suggests in that interview that they're, along with going to Broadway shows, that the Gremlins will enjoy watching crime on the streets, which is free.
That's right. Yeah, we'll figure out how to get Broadway tickets, but the crimes we can watch for free. So yeah.
I mean, when you think about what Gremlins are, which was the invented mythical creatures that fucked with the machinery of World War II pilots, they were brought into existence. They were forced into this existence of being people who are blamed for all the fuck ups that humans do. So I understand their existential crisis here. They didn't ask to be the guys who throw blenders on the floor. That's who they are. The minute you give one of them intelligence, look, he wants more.
You know who my favorite? Ben, finish, but I think we should rate some of our favorite.
I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, we can. There's not much plot left at this point to run through. There's essentially. I mean, I guess we kind of skipped over. There's this. There's a scene with the boss who takes Billy out to dinner at the Canadian restaurant. She gets trapped in a giant spider by a spider gremlin. And then there's the 20 seconds of resolving the plot point from earlier. About
it's like, I didn't get to first base. Okay, cool.
We're
good.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. a bunch of things have happened at once. I do actually think there's an interesting question about how evil or innocent Clamp is, because I think he is a little of each. Because like he does do the sort of like the action horror kind of movie, bad guy, like rich guy thing of like, no cops, we can't, it'll be bad for business. Like the, Chamber of Commerce and Jaws, has to keep the beach open, so he does do that. And he is very like a lot of inappropriate points. It's like, oh, that'll be great. We can make some money from that. But it's also the case that there is something very childlike and innocent about him. And at the end, when Billy suggests, "Hey, you could save the city, you'd be a hero," he'd be like, "Oh yeah, sure, cool, I'll do that."
He's very impulsive. He's not plotting enough for a villain. But you're right, he does. I mean, he is a caricature of the 80s capitalist. So it's not like he's a good guy, but you don't you get the feeling
a little too dumb to be evil or too naive to really be evil. Yeah.
And the people who are doing what apparently he wants done, like Roberto Picardo and the other people, when they fire that poor guy, like it's all his employees who are doing like the real mean stuff, and he sort of like gets to stay up in his office, protected from the getting his hands too dirty.
Yeah, no, that's right. All right, and we alluded to this earlier, but it's too good not to directly recap. There's possibly one of the funniest and most disturbing things in this movie is when Billy is up in Clamp's office, and Clamp is just getting a sense of just how cataclysmic this is, and how the possibility the Gremlins are going to run wild throughout New York City, and he's like, "Well, never thought I'd have to play it, but I guess it's time." And he puts in this VHS of this movie that they've prepared. The Clamp Corporation has prepared for the end of human civilization. They're like, if there's, I don't know, a nuclear exchange with Russia or something, that's this, like, we hope you've enjoyed, the amenities here. We also hope you enjoy being alive. And a bunch of pictures of nature.
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Yeah, it is.
But he's so like, he's almost like, it's almost sweet how into it he is.
Yeah, he's so moved by watching his own video.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When he's up there in his fancy office with all those monitors, he reminds me of Ozymandias from Watchmen, like the
yeah.
It's a very like 80s monitors, like at the top of the building villain.
Yeah.
There is also this dynamic where you keep kind of expecting, given the kinds of things Clamp is saying and given who Billy is, you keep kind of expecting Billy to tell him off, and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? People are really in danger here. And he just never does. Yeah. There's a little note of realism in Gremlins too. It's like, no, he really needs this guy. He can't do that.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And it pays off. Yeah. No, you keep kissing his ass, even no matter what. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll be rewarded at the end.
That's right. Yeah.
Land of the free.
Yeah.
Dave, did you get that?
No, I did not.
How profound that was. People aren't really free in under capitalism.
Yeah. Dave, the libertarian.
I was just like,
yes, they are. Like Will Chamberlain. Will Chamberlain.
Like, yes, that's what this is. This is the land of the free.
It's an extra quarter.
Free from constraints?
Yeah.
So Clamp uses his secret exit to go out and set up this plan that they've got going, where they're going to trick the Gremlins into thinking that it's after sundown by changing all the clocks in the building and to like a time just after sundown, and then which is they throw in that thing that the Billy says, "Oh, we should do it at 4:20." So they're encouraging everybody to watch this movie.
A joke that went over my head as a child. Did not get that. But.
I didn't even get it now, and I've been stoned, like really stoned every time I've seen.
Yeah, he was too stoned to get the 4:20 joke. And so there are all the windows, so they have to do something to like have like a, this like very unconvincing like drawing. It's not like a photo for some reason. Like
yeah.
Like Goodnight Moon, kind of.
Yeah, the Night Moon. Yeah. Like the 5-pointed cartoon stars. Like that's a real night sky, obviously.
Right. They're sophisticated enough to read the time off of analog clocks, but they can be fooled with like essentially a blanket.
Yeah.
I didn't get why it didn't work though.
Because it started raining.
So why would that make it not work?
Because their sun was blocked. Because the clouds covered the sun, right?
Yeah.
But then why is that bad? Like that's what they want, is for them to think that it's dark.
Well, but the trick was they wanted to drop the curtain and have the sunlight come in and kill them all, and then it started raining, and so
I'm a total idiot.
Yeah, their plan wasn't going to work.
Clearly, that was obvious to all of you.
Yeah, you said the free thing, Hey,
yeah. It's a trade-off. Yeah.
So that doesn't work because it starts raining, so the sun's not out, so the sun can't kill all the gremlins, which like is also there's something a little bit like dark about this because like they seem like these increasingly intelligent things that are just kind of chaotic, and we're gonna massacre like 1,000 of them in the lobby.
And babies. Like spray them with water so that they'll start reproducing, and we'll kill even more of them.
Yeah, they killed a whole bunch of fetuses in the end there. I mean that's got to Matt Walsh too.
Pre-dogs.
Pre-dogs are fine.
You call them fetuses, I call them baby gremlins.
That's right.
I call them persons.
So when does gremlin life begin? Is like right when the first drop of water hits.
That's right.
There should be like there is a Judith Jarvis Thompson like thought experiment about
the people seeds.
The people seeds, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I wonder if Dante was inspired by that.
So funny.
Story by Judith Jarvis.
That's right.
I mean, she does have a flair for weird examples. So I could believe that she came up with the electricity gremlin and all these other gremlins.
Yeah.
Do you guys, just as an aside, do you guys watch Rick and Morty?
Oh yeah.
Do you know that the brain gremlin, it must be what inspired when Morty has that son with the robot who, like, after a few days goes on a book tour and explains why his childhood was terrible. He speaks just like the brain gremlin. Like he's like turns from a monster into like a very eloquent interviewee.
I continue to really love the first couple seasons of Rick and Morty. I will say at this point I'm kind of still watching out of habit, since I think that the formula of the show works best when like there's some consistency and there's some character arc. So like you're tricked into caring about these people just a little bit, so all the like brutal nihilism actually lands.
Yeah.
I think like as the seasons go on, it's more just like, anything can and will happen in every episode. It's just going to be this sort of relentless parade of like nihilistic stuff, and you kind of stop caring a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain that. This season has done a better job than last season did. But those first couple seasons are going to go down in sci-fi lore. These are just entertaining at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so there's like could probably do this in like 7 sentences. What's left? They when it doesn't work because the sun's not out to massacre the lobby full of gremlins. Then the Billy comes up with Plan B, and everybody, I guess, just trusts him that he must be going somewhere with this because it sounds like an absolute disaster. and he gets Murray, Fetterman to take out a hose and hose down all the gremlins, which will of course make them reproduce even more. As the worst possible thing you could do if this doesn't work, which, as we mentioned earlier, there's absolutely no reason to think it will work, but it does.
I believed that it would work.
Okay.
Just speaking for myself.
Yeah.
Why would he
wasn't
propose the least intuitive plan if he didn't know?
Yeah,
for sure.
So the electricity
I had faith
gremlin.
in him. I think he knows what he's doing, and I think he's shown that. And also, there's no other, it's that or nothing. So you got to try it. You got to roll the dice.
Fair enough. So we should say the electricity gremlin, which just kind of whizzes around as lightning, was in some very unclear way trapped in the hold system. In
if you get him in the phone and put the call on hold, he can't go anywhere. So
obviously,
I guess in the universe where that makes sense, his plan also makes sense. So
and so he gets Kay to use her knowledge of how the building works to transfer the call from Clem's office down to a phone down there, where he can just kind of point it at all of the wet gremlins who are spawning from their backs, and then that just burns them all up.
Now, is the electricity gremlin still alive? Because that
is a really good question.
It should still be out there.
Yeah.
Gremlins 3, 25 years later, 30 years later.
It's just all electricity gremlin and the lady gremlin, because those two.
I would like to say, defending the science of this, that how you can get something all full of static electricity and then trick somebody into touching it. So it's exactly like that.
Just like that.
It just stores it. In this case, it's a phone, but in other cases, it could be a piece of cloth.
It's more coherent than Armageddon or one of those movies.
Sure. It's not the least coherent movie ever. I will give it that.
Yeah.
At that point, it's they got to kill all these gremlins. Might as well do it that way.
No, you might as well. I mean, who cares? At this point, I'm on board with whatever they're going to do. It doesn't need to make sense. But I do want to know what happens to the electricity gremlin after that.
Because it seems like the electricity gremlin isn't going to be burned up by coming into contact with himself. So, and he somehow lasts long enough to burn up every single gremlin in the lobby. So the two survivors from the massacre of gremlins, maybe the electricity gremlin, definitely. On this show, we'll say the lady gremlin, who is
over Dave's protestations.
Yes, over Dave's angry protestation. We'll say the lady gremlin. I know he's very emotionally invested in the gender of the gremlins, but
he's just radicalizing right now. We're just radicalizing.
Every word I say is just pushing him further on this path. He's going to be on Tucker in the morning, but in any case,
he's clearly not been listening.
But she seems to have sexually assaulted the asshole head of security. From
although in the end he's okay. He's goes along with it.
I'll just go with it.
I just encoded what you guys were talking about earlier. I don't even want to know what happened there, because he's sort of happy. Is it a love story at the end?
I think at the end, at the end they're happy together. It's a beautiful ending.
I wanted Marla to land on her feet.
Well, this is also interesting. So Marla, the Billy's boss, is this also goes back to the how evil is Clamp question, because he sees Marla, he's very taken with her at the moment, and his way of hitting on her is, "You work for me, don't you?"
It's so bad. I was like, is this okay in 1990? I'm trying to put myself back. Was this a faux pas even back then? I don't.
She loves it. She's been filling out spreadsheets since she was 4.
Yeah.
With crayons.
This is her dream.
They clearly didn't have the HR training that I am supposed to take on my.
This isn't the pre-Colin McGinn era thing. Anything.
Right.
We didn't talk about that PMC guy. Like, what's his name? Not Clamp, but his like underling.
Which
Picard?
The one who gets caught in the web at the end.
Wait, the woman?
No. So there's Clamp, but then there's like a guy that is like kind of running the thing. He catches the guy taking a break in the warehouse and fires him in the beginning. He's the one
who ends up with the girl.
Yeah, that's the guy that I thought it was Clamp that ended up with the girl.
No, we're talking about the girl, the girly gremlin.
Oh yeah. Oh, maybe you talked about that when I was gone. Never mind.
No, we were literally just talking about that, and then I think you.
I thought you were talking about something else.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. Back
beautiful, happy ending.
Back to you guys.
At least we're taking turns tuning out. You know?
But I was actually listening.
This
is worse. Even worse.
This is why we need both. You need both wizards on at the same time. You'll have at least one of their attention in a moment.
There you go. So yeah, she's very into that. You know, do you work for me? Very, very hard. And so he immediately promotes her, quid pro quo. And then he 1990, I guess is fine. And then he just does this sort of spree of like impulse buying of like every project that Billy could possibly have. He just kind of goes around in the last couple minutes of the movie, like this billionaire Santa Claus, or I don't know, like the wizard at the end of the Wizard of Oz, giving everybody what they most need, and putting everything to right. And that is almost the end of the movie. Now, I will say, I think Tamler mentioned it earlier, but what we pretty much skipped is that the real framing device at the very, very beginning and the very, very end is that it starts and ends with the Looney Tunes stuff, which is also doing the meta stuff, because it's the Daffy Duck pushing out the other characters while they're trying to begin or end the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I love when people are allowed to fuck with the. Yeah, I imagine these movie studios don't want that happening regularly, but when you get people who just from the beginning try to like, he must have just been feeling really, really contrarian and cantankerous, and people let him do it. Yeah. These are not. Yeah,
that's in the Warner Brothers spirit, that's in the spirit of those cartoons that were doing all that shit like at the time, so I think it's a really nice match.
It is, and I think you're right, and I think that that it's bringing it back to the spirit, because it is. Yeah, it got to a point where it is sacred. You don't mess with these are Mel Blanc's characters. They're almost like deified, and so that they fuck with it is good. Yeah,
you have to do it right. Like Roger Rabbit does it right. They respect the characters, and so Roger Rabbit is phenomenal. That's a great.
So good. That's a great movie.
What year did Roger Rabbit come out?
I think 88. Yeah.
Okay.
Years before this. I saw it just like within the last few months. It's totally holds up at every level.
I haven't seen that one in quite a while either. Yeah,
I actually saw that last year because I was just randomly, I don't know, overcome by random nostalgia, and I watched it. And I do think it actually holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
And then there's also, the other thing I was thinking about was the first Tim Burton Batman, which I think was 1989, which is a VHS that I watched several thousand times probably as a kid. And that also starts with Looney Tunes stuff like that. They're sort of recreating an old timey theater experience where you see the cartoon reel before the real movie.
apparently the VHS of this movie had a completely different middle of the Hulk Hogan
they did it
introduction.
like it was a VHS.
Like it was a VHS.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great.
They should do that for streaming. You know, like just have it
They
like
really
kind
should.
Like a 404, not page.
Yeah. Just have it sort of get all pixelated and get chopped.
I'll bet the Hulkster, probably is cheaper in 2022 than he would have been in 1990.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what's funny about this movie is I thought I was too good for it when it came out and never saw it.
I'm very
And
unsurprised by this.
I remember when I met it was my girlfriend at the time, but now my wife, I asked her what her favorite movie was. She said Gremlins 2, and she was not like a cinephile or a movie fan. And I was like, well, okay, well, like just I have some work to do, essentially, like training you to like be a good, like someone who appreciates cinema and film. And then I finally saw it. Like I was definitely in my 30s, like late 30s or something when I saw it, and I was just like, "Holy shit, this is the funniest movie ever made!" Like you were right, like all those years ago. Yeah.
And you were right. Like you sold. I mean, not that it's better than Everything Everywhere All at Once. Right. That this is a great movie.
It's better than Parasite. So I have to.
Can't just say that.
Tamler and I have differences of opinion about this. But I'm going to take this opportunity.
You're a hipster.
That is
like
fine.
Parasite's not good.
Wow.
I mean, it's fine.
All right.
You saw it in a bad mood. Like he went into it with an attitude too. Like
as long as you admit that you went into Everything Everywhere All at Once with that attitude.
I mean, if that might be true.
And they say the social psychology of biases can't be replicated.
It might have been almost identical, like the attitude that we went into those movies with.
Everyone's praising this. I'm gonna hate it.
So unfortunately I have to go, but there's one thing I wanted to make sure I talked about, because it was the saddest moment in the whole film for me.
Yeah.
And it's when they look at Gizmo and they say, "What happened to him?" And they say, "I don't know. I guess they pushed him too far."
Yes.
Like, he hasn't actually done any Rambo shit effectively.
No.
It's broke.
He did the one thing. He shot the fire at the yeah. That's it.
But he's got the headband, and
it's
still like traumatized.
Yeah. That and the acid in the face gag. Before I knew they were doing a Phantom of the like a Phantom of the Opera thing, I was like, "Whoa, that's dark."
Yeah.
Like, it's like, "Oh, Phantom of the Opera. That's what they're doing."
Yeah.
I enjoyed the dark moments actually.
Oh yeah, that's great.
It's a real the effects of it are just so good. Like all this would be CGI bullshit now, and this is just like it works so well, and it's really like when they all kind of melt from the electricity, like that's kind of scary. Like that's
it's great practical effects.
It's I wouldn't take anyone under 13 unless they were with their parents. Sorry. So I call that.
Good call.
This is the guy you had on before me.
I feel like I should leave on that note.
Wait, quick before you go, what's your favorite Gremlin, Dave?
I mean, it's honestly the brain Gremlin is the best.
It's hard. Yeah.
I mean,
I agree. Like
it all
asked. I've been thinking. Like, I wanted
really the best. Like we could, you could do the. It's sort of like the thing like I always feel frustrated when like people are talking about like favorite bands and favorite albums by that band, and it's like everybody has to pretend that they like the the earlier underground stuff.
Right.
It's like, no,
Right.
fuck you. You liked the popular one that was popular because it was really good and everybody liked it.
I like
like that's the album that you liked.
Yeah.
As you should, and and probably you can make a contrarian case for any number of others, but I mean, like, really, come on, it's got
my like ultimate contrarian case is for the bucktooth dumb one. I love that one. I love the bucktooth dumb one. I love him more than the brainy one. Like, I'll say it. I don't care.
I mean,
All right, no, that's fair.
I think I have like a unique. This is literally the first time I ever I've ever seen this movie. And when the brain gremlin, I kind of had to watch the movie twice because the first time around that I was watching it, like I was like distracted. But the first time that brain gremlin starts talking, I was like, whoa. And then I was like, wow, that's pretty fucking cool. That like, what if you took a wild beast like that and gave it intellect all of a sudden? What would it say about its own species? Like, it's really fascinating. Like,
it absolutely is.
It worked.
My only other contender would be the googly-eyed one, the one that Kate mistook for Gizmo.
The one who throws the blender on the floor.
Yeah. He's great. And when he's the dentist, is it safe?
Yeah, with the marathon man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I love how they, talk about, innate knowledge. They immediately start throwing metal into the microwave. Like, no. We didn't talk about like the talk show host.
Oh God, she's great. She's so great. She's just getting trashed doing her microwave cooking show. She's
using fake cheese, not like Tamler.
That's right.
She's using cheese product.
She should use fromage dauphinoise. My dog Omar.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for. Thanks for blowing off your wife on her birthday to talk about this. That's
what you have to deal with when you're in our business.
That's right.
The podcasting business.
That's right.
It's a tough mistress.
Yeah, cutthroat.
This was great, though. Thank you.
Yeah,
guys.
it was a
All
blast.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
All right. Thanks, David. Oh,
all right.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Tamler, you want to come back on and talk about some political philosophy or something?
I mean, sure. Or another movie. This was fun.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, even if,
I don't want you to think that I just do my G.A. Cohen with David and I'll
you bring me on for like, the dumb puppet movie.
Well,
you think I'm like the bucktooth dumb gremlin. That's what I think it is.
That's right. Dave's our brainy gremlin.
Yeah.
Which gremlin?
Is that how people see us? Oh, man.
I don't know. Oh God.
Well, if you know,
Ryan, which gremlin are you?
Oh geez, that's tough. I don't know. I feel an affinity for the crazy dentist gremlin. There's something in there, the chaotic energy. At least that's what I aspire to be. That's what I want to be. I don't know if I'm quite there, but.
What about you, Ben?
Oh well, since I'm I spend so much of my time trapped in the technology of our day on a YouTube screen. Not rather than a held call for the technology of 1990, I guess the electricity gremlin.
Yeah.
There you go. It's deep.
I know, right? Really got to think about that.
About that.
Yeah, no, this was fun. And in all seriousness, you should come back on to do both of those things.
Right.
Talk about another movie, but we can also do some Cohen or something.
Some philosophy. Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me.
Tamler, this was a blast. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Nice to meet you, Ryan.
Very nice to meet you too.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Ben.
So Tamler, Sommers, and David Pizarro are co-hosts of the Very Bad Wizards podcast, which you should listen to. It's a lot of fun. And meanwhile, on this show, There's going to be some sort of Thursday night debate breakdown day after tomorrow. Still trying to figure that out. On Monday, speaking of debates, we're going to have Anna Kasparian on to talk about her debate with Dennis Prager. So looking forward to that. And then the following Monday, there's no show because I'll be traveling. But the day before that, Sunday, October 23rd, you can see both of us, Matt and David from Left Reckoning, Jason Miles and Deep State Cuba from This Is Revolution, Anna, Nando. And
for some reason, I'm not a headliner in that graphic, but that's fine. I'm not offended. It's cool.
Yeah, no, you're down with Anna Kasparian as a guest who's not specifically mentioned. So
I can live with it.
See Derek Varn, Daniel Bessner, probably some people I'm forgetting, but should be a lot of fun. Still planning out exactly what that's going to be like, but really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to getting to meet a lot of people in person. So that's Sunday, October 23rd, 7 p.m. LA time at the Terragram Ballroom in Los Angeles. And yeah, not for nothing. If you like what we do here, want to keep going, that's patreon.com/Ben Burgis. And if you're a patron, I don't know, we'll thank you in person at if you come to the Telegram. So also you should read Ryan's comics at the Daily News website, which happen, I don't know, irregularly, but they're always good.
We're back to regular. It's about once a month now that I have one up there. But yeah, I just had one a few weeks ago.
All right, very good. All right, sounds good. Gonna leave it off there for tonight. Left is best.